The council chambers spiraled upward in concentric rings of shimmering alloy, a cathedral of alien authority. Every seat was occupied, every gaze turned down toward the lone human delegation standing on the central dais beneath the vast projection sphere. The hum of atmospheric stabilizers mixed with a faint undercurrent of disdain from the 37 elder species. Commander Aidan Holt stood behind Earth's diplomatic envoy, arms clasped behind his back, expression unreadable. The chamber lights glinted off his dark naval uniform, a stark contrast to the flowing iridescent robes worn by the other representatives. Humanity looked painfully young here. Chancellor XYR Arthal Vex, a towering figure of obsidian skin and folded, insect-like tendrils, rose from his elevated throne. The glowing glyphs on his chest faded into cold monochrome. Aidan watched the gesture carefully. Among Vex's species, it symbolized judgment. "Humans," Vex began, voice echoing through the chamber like a measured blade. "Your petition for full council membership has been reviewed. The verdict is final." Earth's diplomat straightened. "We believe we've met every requirement: scientific progress, stable governance, consistent cooperation. The charter." Vex lifted a tendril, silencing him. "The council finds your species premature. You expand without restraint. You innovate without caution. You disrupt the balance we spent millennia cultivating." He paused, turning to address the entire chamber. "Therefore, your petition is denied." Aidan didn't flinch. He'd expected this. What he didn't expect was the casual contempt simmering beneath the Chancellor's voice, like humanity was a piece of dangerous debris the council wanted swept out of sight. Murmurs trickled across the chamber. A few species looked sympathetic. Most looked relieved. Earth's diplomat inhaled sharply. "Chancellor, with respect, humanity has contributed to." "You misunderstand," Vex said. "This is not a negotiation." His tendrils curled, forming a gesture closely resembling dismissal. "Your species will remain a protectorate. Under guidance. For your own safety." Aidan caught the diplomat's frustrated glance but remained silent. Human pride had no place here, observation did. The Chancellor seated himself again, hands steepled. "This session is concluded." The lights dimmed. The alien rings rotated apart. And just like that, the fate of billions had been brushed aside. The shuttle ride back to the human embassy floated through a haze of quiet fury. Aidan stared out the viewport as Varelian Prime's capital drifted below, endless crystalline towers rising into the upper cloud layers. Beautiful. Sterile. A gilded cage disguised as civilization. The diplomat finally broke the silence. "He wanted to humiliate us." "He succeeded," Aidan replied. "Which means he's hiding something." The diplomat frowned. "You think the denial was strategic?" Aidan's jaw tightened. Vex doesn't waste political capital on public theatrics without a reason. He's preparing for something. We need to be ready. Before the diplomat could ask more, Aidan's wrist console vibrated. A secure, untraceable alert blinked across the display, one only a handful of people in the galaxy could send. "Priority black, incoming encrypted intel." "Commander," the diplomat asked, noting his shift in posture. Aidan stood. "I need to return to the Divergent immediately." The Divergent, a stealth carrier operating under Earth Navy's most restricted protocols, waited in high orbit. When Aidan entered the command deck, his executive officer, Lieutenant Mara Voss, handed him an encrypted datapad. "Message came through 5 minutes ago. Layered encryption. Took our entire quantum array to peel it open." Aidan activated the file. A distorted silhouette flickered to life, a humanoid figure, face obscured, voice synthetic. "Commander Holt," the AI proxy spoke. "The Council has initiated Operation Chainlock." Mara stiffened. "That sounds like a containment directive." Aidan said nothing. His eyes scanned line after line of data cascading across the display: fleet mobilization schedules, targeting schemes, false flag justifications. He exhaled slowly as the terrifying pattern emerged. Chainlock wasn't containment. It was annihilation. The message continued, each word colder than the last. Primary objective, cripple Earth's orbital defenses. Secondary objective, neutralize human industrial capacity. Tertiary objective, disrupt human colony expansion, priority target, New Sol. Mara stepped back. They're planning coordinated strikes? Under what justification? Aiden's tone was measured. They'll fabricate one. And with today's public humiliation, the galaxy will accept whatever narrative Vex sells. He closed the datapad. How long until their fleets move? 18 days, the AI proxy answered. Aiden clenched his fist. Then we're already running behind. The projection faded. Aiden placed the datapad gently on the table as if afraid he might crush it in his hand. Mara broke the silence. We need to warn the Senate. We will. He turned to her, eyes hardening. And we'll prepare, quietly. The Council thinks we're still flying chemical rockets. Mara allowed herself a thin smile. They've never seen what breaker engines can do. Exactly. And we need every advantage. That evening, in the subterranean chamber of the human embassy, Aiden briefed the Earth Senate remotely. Dozens of faces appeared in holographic arcs, generals, ministers, engineers, even the president herself. Aiden kept his report crisp. The Council intends to strike first. If we hesitate, Earth loses its defenses before we fire a shot. Some senators reacted with disbelief, others with anger. President Marin leaned forward, voice steady. Do you consider war inevitable, Commander? Aiden didn't blink. If we submit, we die. If we prepare, we might survive. A long silence followed. An elderly senator cleared his throat. What assets can counter a Council fleet? Aiden chose his words carefully. Only the breaker fleets. But using them risks destabilizing local spacetime. Another senator scoffed. We've barely tested them. Aiden cut in, uncharacteristically sharp. We don't have the luxury of safety. Breaker engines are the only reason the Council hasn't already boxed us in. Marin studied him. Can you defend Earth? If we act now. If we mobilize immediately. And if the Council remains blind to our capabilities. Marin nodded slowly. Then you have my authorization to begin defensive preparations. Proceed discreetly. The last thing we need is panic. Aiden bowed his head. Understood. The holograms dissolved. Mara approached him. You think the Senate fully trusts you? They don't need to, Aiden replied. They just need to follow the plan. Hours later, Aiden stood alone in the embassy's observation bay, watching Varelian's moons drift across the skyline. A faint tremor ran through the floor, internal generators shifting to night mode. He wasn't alone for long. Soft footsteps approached. Myrtle Tsai, Council Ambassador, known ally of humanity, stepped beside him. Her crystalline skin reflected the city lights in fractal patterns. She kept her voice low. I saw Chancellor Vex's private communique after the session. He's pushing for accelerated measures against your species. Aiden met her gaze. We noticed. Her eyes dimmed with regret. Humanity deserved better. We're used to earning our place the hard way. Myrtle hesitated before speaking again. Be careful, Commander. Vex believes humans are too unpredictable to coexist. I fear he's preparing to prove himself right. Aiden nodded once. Thank you. Myrtle turned away. I hope, when the storm comes, some part of this galaxy remembers who tried to stop it. Aiden watched her leave. He knew she wasn't exaggerating. The storm wasn't coming. It had already begun. And humanity, he realized, would have to fight its way out of it. The Divergent drifted through the shadowed side of Varelian Prime, invisible to open sensors. Her hull absorbed starlight, her engines resting in complete silence, as if holding a breath before a plunge. Inside, Commander Aiden Holt stood before a tactical sphere projecting the Council's mobilization paths. Blue arcs indicated Council fleets. Red markers highlighted Earth's vulnerable positions. Lieutenant Mara Voss entered, her posture crisp. Breaker fleet captains are assembled and waiting. Aiden nodded. Bring them in. The conference chamber dimmed as life-size holograms snapped into existence, 6 captains, each a veteran marked by frontier campaigns. They spoke in quick, expectant tension. Captain Reese, we received the chain lock intel. Tell us it's exaggerated. Aiden zoomed the hologram out, revealing precise Council attack patterns. I wish it were. They intend coordinated strikes on Earth, Luna, and New Sol. Captain Hale let out a sharp breath. That's extermination doctrine. It is, Aiden said. And they're counting on us being slow. That gives us an opening, if we move immediately. Captain Imani tapped her gauntlet. Breaker engines are barely stable. Risk calculations say. We know the risks, Aiden cut in. We also know we're the only force the Council can't predict. The captains exchanged glances. Aiden read the hesitation. He couldn't allow doubt to linger. Our tech was built for moments like this, he said. Humanity spent decades studying rift physics because the frontier forced us to. The Council dismissed it as dangerous. Good. That's our advantage. And if we don't use it, Earth falls. Captain Reese nodded. You have our commitment. One by one, each captain signaled agreement. Aiden exhaled, relieved but focused. Then Breaker Fleet 7 mobilizes within 6 hours. Prepare your crews. The holograms blinked out, leaving the room dim again. Mara approached. They trust you. But they know these engines could tear holes through space if misused. Aiden gave a thin smile. We'll just have to use them perfectly. 2 decks below, the Divergence reactor hall thrummed with rising power. Engineers sealed containment rings while navigators calibrated rift coordinates. Blue halos rippled along the engine coils, bending the air around them. Chief Engineer Grayson wiped a hand across his brow. Commander, we're running triple redundancy on the stabilization grid. This engine wasn't meant to cold start so close to a gravitational giant. It'll hold, Aiden said. It always has. Grayson gave him a look. Commander, engines don't always hold. They obey physics when it feels charitable. Aiden cracked the faintest smile. Then let's earn its charity. The chief laughed once under his breath, then returned to work. Inside the Council Citadel, far from human eyes, Chancellor Vex convened a private assembly. Only senior military leaders attended, their armored forms reflecting the purple glow of the chamber. General Talvor bowed. Chain lock is ready. Our fleets will reach Earth in less than 3 cycles once launched. Vex's tendrils curled in visible satisfaction. And the humans? Still pleading for diplomatic reconsideration. Pathetic. Vex's voice lowered. Watch them carefully. Humans are dangerous because they adapt. They make unpredictable leaps. Do not underestimate them. General Talvor inclined his head but smirked slightly. They lack the capacity to face the Council. Their ships are decades behind ours. Vex stared him down. Pray you are correct. Back aboard the Divergent, Aiden received a message request, encrypted, anonymous. The source identifier flickered with familiar patterns. Myral Tsai. He accepted. Her hologram appeared, looking unsettled. Commander, I've accessed restricted military files. You need to see them. Aiden leaned closer. What am I looking at? She transferred a packet. Chain lock is larger than we thought. Vex mobilized species bound by ancient pacts, forces not seen in 7 centuries. They intend overwhelming superiority. Aiden absorbed the images, massive carriers, gravity lens cruisers, swarm fleets. Enough power to flatten a star system. Why tell me? He asked. Because my conscience no longer tolerates silence, Myral said. And because Vex is wrong about your people. Aiden nodded in gratitude. You're risking everything. She hesitated. Then promise me something, when the fighting begins, remember that not all of us wanted this. I won't forget. The feed cut. Mara entered a moment later. We're at launch readiness. Aiden closed the file. Then it's time. The Divergence launch base stretched like a cathedral of alloy and light, filled with the assembled breaker fleet ships, sleek, angular vessels built to carve into the fabric of spacetime itself. Engineers ran final checks. Pilots secured harnesses. The deck vibrated with restrained power. Aiden stepped onto the command bridge. The forward viewport displayed a field of stars glimmering against the dark. This was the calm before an unnatural storm. Activate rift coils, Aiden ordered. Mara relayed. Rift coils engaged. Charging to 70%. Space began to distort. The stars wavered in the viewport like reflections on rippling water. 80%, Mara reported. Blue lightning crawled across the shield array. The ship groaned, metal flexing in controlled agony. 90. The hum deepened until it was felt more than heard. Aiden steadied himself. Punch it. Reality cracked. Not in sound, not in light, more like a sudden absence, a clean cut in the fabric of perception. The breaker fleet surged forward, vanishing into the rift. Inside the distortion tunnel, the laws of physics folded into threads of shimmering color. The hull trembled as gravity fluctuated. Sensors scrambled, then snapped into place. Mara's voice cut through the turbulence. Trajectory stable. Emergence point locked. Aiden held onto the railing. Stay on target. Moments stretched into an eternity, until the rift spit them out. Space returned with a violent shudder. They materialized in the silent wake behind a council formation position near Mars. The enemy ships floated unaware, their weapons pointed toward Earth's distant orbit. Mara gasped. They didn't detect us. They didn't sense anything. Good, Aiden said quietly. Let's introduce ourselves. He opened the channel to the fleet. All ships, engage. Breaker vessels erupted into motion. Pulses of rift-charged particle fire pierced enemy shields before the council ships even turned their turrets. 2 dreadnoughts fractured under the first volley, their hulls splitting like cracked stone. Captain Reese's ship darted through the formation, leaving destabilizing rift echoes that shredded sensor networks. Captain Imani's vessel disabled a carrier with surgical precision, knocking it cold. Council crews scrambled, bewildered. One alien commander shouted across open comms, What technology is this? How are the humans? His broadcast dissolved in static as his cruiser detonated. The council finally recovered enough to return fire, but their targeting struggled against the unpredictable distortions following each breaker micro-jump. Aiden's ship dove into the chaos, angling for the fleet's command vessel. Hit them hard, he ordered. Make sure they understand we aren't prey. A single precise volley from the Divergent ruptured the command cruiser's power core. The explosion lit up the darkness like a newborn star. Mara watched the blaze fade. That's going to send a message. Aiden stared at the burning wreckage. It's only the beginning. The wreckage of the Council's forward fleet drifted in the void like shattered monuments. Fires flickered across ruptured hulls, casting flickering reflections across the Divergence bridge. Aiden Holt stood at the center console, eyes locked on the expanding debris field. His fleet had struck with unparalleled precision, but this was only the first round. Lieutenant Mara Voss monitored the tactical display, jaw set. Commander, the Council response is accelerating. Long-range scans show multiple fleets converging from 3 sectors. They're not hesitating. Aiden nodded. Vex is pushing everything he has. He's desperate to regain control before word spreads. Sensors chimed. A new signature pulsed into view, vast, dense, and unmistakably ceremonial. Mara's eyes widened. Flagship formation. That's Vex's personal command armada. The chamber quieted. Even the hum of the consoles seemed to recede. Aiden straightened. Open fleet-wide channel. Mara tapped the console. Aiden spoke clearly, his tone direct. Breaker Fleet, we've taken the opening move, but the Council will not retreat. Their Chancellor is coming. Prepare for Shatterwake. Dozens of captains acknowledged simultaneously, their voices clipped with resolve. Aiden closed the channel and walked toward the viewport, watching the Council's armada grow in the distance. Massive carriers shaped like obsidian crescents. Gravity lens cruisers radiating dangerous halos. Central among them, a towering spire-shaped flagship, gleaming with gold and violet energy. It's time, he said quietly. The Council fleet descended with terrifying symmetry. Their formation tightened as they advanced, each movement coordinated through an ancient hive network of battle AIs. On the bridge of his flagship, Chancellor Vex observed the unfolding battlefield with cold focus. His tendrils coiled around the command rail as he watched the remains of the Council's forward fleet burn. Humans, Vex snarled, you dare challenge us openly? General Talvor approached, uneasy. Chancellor, we underestimated their propulsion capabilities. Their engines distort spacetime, our sensors misread every maneuver. Vex's gaze sharpened. Then adapt. Or I will replace you with someone who can. He turned back to the display. Engage full formation. Activate Hero protocols. Talvor hesitated. Chancellor, the Starbind Hero has never been used in a populated system. That is irrelevant, Vex snapped. If we do not strike now, humanity's chaos will spread far beyond this conflict. Talvor bowed his head. As you command. Aiden's tactical sphere flickered with incoming data as the Council's fleet split into 3 wings, attempting to encircle the Breaker fleet. Commander, Mara warned, they're trying to box us in. They think we'll fight on their terms, Aiden replied. We won't. He turned to his helmsman. Begin targeted microjumps. Disrupt their formation. We'll carve them apart from the inside. The Breaker fleet dissolved into streaks of folded space as ships executed perfectly timed jumps. The Divergent reappeared behind a Council cruiser, unleashing a concentrated burst of rift-charged fire that tore through its engines. Captain Imani's ship materialized inside a blind spot between 2 carriers, releasing EMP bursts that crippled their command arrays. Reese's vessel jumped across short distances in rapid succession, confusing targeting systems and drawing fire away from Allied ships. The Council's formation faltered. But only for a moment. Mara's console pulsed with a violent red alert. Commander, detecting a massive energy accumulation from the flagship. This signature is off the charts. Aiden's stomach tightened. Hero-class weapon? Matching energy patterns, Mara confirmed. If they fire it here, Earth's orbit won't survive the shockwave. Aiden stepped forward, eyes narrowing. Then we stop it now. Commander, Mara said, that weapon could tear open a gravitational surge large enough to crush everything in range, including us. That's a risk we'll take. He opened a channel directly to the fleet. All ships, converge on the flagship. Target the Hero systems. Focus everything you have. The captains acknowledged without hesitation. Inside the Council flagship, the Starbind Hero powered up. Panels along its spire glowed with spiraling runes as graviton coils awakened from centuries of dormancy. General Talvor watched the charge build, horrified. Chancellor, this device was designed for planetary sieges, if we fire it near Earth. Enough, Vex snapped. The humans have brought destruction upon themselves. Fire when ready. The Breaker fleet surged toward the flagship. Rift trails crisscrossed the battlefield like streaks of lightning. Council ships attempted to intercept, but their coordination fractured under the relentless human assault. Commander, Mara reported, Hero at 90% charge. Aiden felt the weight of the moment press against him. Billions of lives depended on this strike. Helm, he said, take us straight to the firing core. Prepare for synchronized jump. The helmsman swallowed hard. We'll be skim testing the surface of their shields. Yes. Exactly. Mara looked at him. This will either save Earth, or pull us into vacuum collapse. Aiden steadied his stance. Then let's be precise. The divergent accelerated, dodging bolts of superheated plasma. Breaker vessels flanked her, forming a spearhead. Jump, Aiden ordered. Space folded, twisted, then snapped back. The divergent materialized directly in front of the spire, within meters of the Harrow's charging aperture. The shockwave of compressed gravity rippled across the hull, but the ship held. Fire! Aiden shouted. The divergent unleashed a single coherent blast, dense, focused, armed with rift resonance tuned to destabilize gravitational systems. It struck the Harrow's firing core. A fracture raced through the spire. Energy surged backward. The Harrow screamed with rising instability. Inside the council bridge, alarms blared. Vax spun toward his officers. Stabilize the core. It's reversing, Chancellor. Talvor yelled. The humans redirected the graviton pulse. The Harrow's energy collapsed inward, then erupted outward in a controlled implosion that ripped the flagship's shield generator apart. Aiden seized the moment. All ships, hit the command vessel. Breaker fleet fire converged. The flagship's hull ruptured in a cascade of molten alloy and spiraling flame. Vex staggered as the bridge shuddered violently. This cannot be, humans cannot. The ceiling collapsed behind him. Consoles exploded. Talvor dragged himself toward an escape pod. Aiden's voice cut into the emergency channel, broadcast across the entire battlefield. Chancellor Vex, he said firmly, you forced this war. Humanity asked for respect. You answered with annihilation. This outcome is yours alone. The transmission echoed through every council vessel. Vex hissed, furious. We are the council. We decide the fate of. A secondary explosion tore through the bridge. His image vanished. The flagship broke apart in a silent bloom of fire. With their leader gone, council fleets faltered. Confusion spread. Some ships powered down weapons. Others retreated entirely. A few attempted to continue the fight but were swiftly overwhelmed. Mara exhaled, relief softening her rigid posture. Commander, it's over. Aiden watched the last of the council's formation scatter. Not over, he said quietly. But changed. Hours later, aboard a neutral station orbiting Varelian Prime, surviving council members gathered under emergency charter procedures. The galaxy had witnessed both the conspiracy and its failure. Earth was offered full membership. Aiden declined. Not unless every species bound under protectorate status is freed. Under pressure from their own outraged populations, the council agreed. Myraldsai approached Aiden afterward, her crystalline features reflecting a soft glow. You've altered the course of history, Commander. No, Aiden said. Humanity just refused to bow. Days later, aboard New Sol Station, Aiden watched the sun rise through the transparent dome, warm light over the horizon. Mara stepped beside him. So what now? Now, Aiden said, we build a future no one can threaten again. Humanity had endured. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again. New Sol Station buzzed with restless energy. Engineers, diplomats, and military officers crossed the gleaming central atrium in organized chaos. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy wasn't governed by a single iron hierarchy. Dozens of newly freed protectorate species arrived daily, seeking guidance, trade, or simply a safe haven while their worlds found their footing. Commander Aiden Holt walked through the atrium's observation corridor, watching small transports drift in neat formation toward the docking arms. The war was over, but its consequences had only begun to unfold. Humanity's unexpected ascendancy was sending ripples across every sector. Lieutenant Mara Voss approached from behind, boots striking softly against the polished floor. Council broadcasts have shifted tone. They're framing the collapse as a necessary restructuring, as if they didn't try to vaporize us days ago. Aiden smirked faintly. They're trying to preserve dignity. Panic serves no one. Mara nodded. True. But tensions are rising. Some member states resent the new balance. Others fear retaliation from their former protectors. Aiden stopped at the observation deck railing. Below, workers moved like coordinated ants around a crate of shimmering alloy. A fractured galaxy is dangerous. Especially right now. Mara leaned beside him. You're worried about breaker tech. I'm worried about what comes next, Aiden admitted. The Council assumed breaker engines were beyond our reach. Now every intelligence agency in the cluster is scrambling to replicate them. Before Mara could respond, his wrist console vibrated with a high-priority alert. An encrypted message flashed onto the screen. From Admiral Reyes. Subject, immediate debrief, Private Chamber 3. Aiden's expression sharpened. Something's wrong. Private Chamber 3 was a secure, vibration-dampened room buried deep in the station. When Aiden entered, Admiral Reyes already stood waiting, posture rigid, eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Aiden, Reyes said quietly. We have a situation. Aiden frowned. You look like you haven't slept. I haven't, Reyes replied. And once you hear this, you won't either. He activated a hologram. A swirling image appeared, an unstable rift signature drifting just beyond the edge of known space. It pulsed irregularly, as if alive. Aiden studied the shape. Is that a breaker echo? Reyes shook his head. No. That's something else. Something older. The room's temperature felt like it dropped. Explain. Reyes enlarged the scan. During the battle near Mars, when the Harrow imploded, the rift generated a cascade effect. It spread farther than we realized. Our deep space sensors picked up this anomaly 2 hours ago. At first, it looked like residual noise, until it started amplifying. Mara's voice carried a sharp edge. Amplifying how? Reyes tapped a command. The hologram surged brighter, growing larger, more defined. The edges twisted into geometric patterns that no human scientist had ever recorded. It's feeding on gravitational fluctuations, Reyes said. As if it recognizes the signature of breaker jumps. Aiden folded his arms. Meaning it's reacting to us. Exactly. An uneasy silence settled over the chamber. Aiden broke it first. Has it shown movement? Reyes exhaled slowly. Yes. Very slow, but deliberate. And it's accelerating. Mara looked between them. Do we know what's inside it? Reyes hesitated. No. But whatever it is, it's enormous. Aiden stared at the swirling projection. We need to investigate before the galaxy panics. That's why I called you, Reyes said. I want your fleet to lead the expedition. Aiden's mind raced. If this anomaly is a byproduct of our engines, we're responsible for whatever emerges. Reyes nodded gravely. And if it's not, then we may have just awakened something we've never encountered. Hours later, Aiden stepped into the breaker fleet hangar. The cavernous space reverberated with the sound of technicians preparing for launch. Crews checked coils, recalibrated rift stabilizers, and secured weapon pods. The familiar hum of charged engines filled the air with nervous anticipation. Captain Reese met him by the divergence ramp. Admiral briefed us. Anomaly reconnaissance? Yes. High risk. No certainty about what we'll find. Reese tilted her head. After facing the entire council, I'll take the mystery over politics. Aiden chuckled. Let's hope the mystery agrees. Inside the Divergent, Mara joined him at the command chair. We're ready. Aiden nodded. Take us out. The ship disengaged from the station's magnetic clamps and drifted forward. Breaker Fleet 7 formed up alongside them, each vessel maintaining perfect spacing. Engines charged, emitting soft blue arcs. Plot a rift to the anomaly's perimeter, Aiden ordered. Mara locked coordinates. Rift coils stable. Destination set. Jump. Space folded once again, swallowing the fleet in cascading light. They emerged into a silent sector scattered with dust clouds and faint starlight. The anomaly hovered ahead, a dark sphere surrounded by swirling distortions, glimmering like a pulsing wound in the universe. Visual magnification, Aiden said. The viewport expanded the image. Inside the darkness, faint structures flickered, sharp, angular silhouettes shifting like submerged ruins. Mara frowned. "Commander, those look artificial." Aiden's pulse quickened. "Are they moving?" "Slowly," Mara said, "but definitely moving." A low-frequency vibration rattled the hull. Reese's voice came over comms. "All ships are registering gravitational fluctuations." Aiden narrowed his eyes. "It's responding to our presence." The sphere brightened. A single beam of pale light stretched from its center, like a searching tendril probing the void. Reyes's earlier warning echoed in Aiden's mind, it's feeding on breaker signatures. The reticle on Mara's console flashed. "Commander, energy spike." The tendril elongated, reaching toward them. Aiden reacted instantly. "All ships, break formation and retreat 10 kilometers." The fleet scattered with razor precision. The beam grazed the divergence shields, causing the hull to shudder violently. "It's analyzing us," Mara said. "Almost like it's scanning our engines." Aiden steadied himself. "Keep distance. Don't let it lock onto us." The anomaly pulsed again, this time more intensely. A splitting crack echoed across the comms as part of the sphere's surface tore open, revealing a deep interior chamber glowing with impossible geometry. Reese's voice trembled. "What is that?" Aiden's breath caught. Inside the chamber lay a colossal structure, layered, ancient, metallic, wrapped in runes that shifted like liquid. It was unmistakably a vessel. A vessel unlike anything recorded. Mara whispered, "Commander, this wasn't created by the Council. This predates them." The runes flared, reacting to the fleet's engines. Aiden felt the air thicken. "Is it waking up?" The vessel's surface rippled. Light flickered. A deep resonance trembled through space. And then, for the first time, a signal emerged, raw, unfiltered, ancient. Mara's console translated fragments. Message detected. Partial interpretation, return, catalyst, breach, restored. Aiden's eyes hardened. "It thinks we're responsible for its awakening." Mara looked at him. "Are we dealing with an intelligence? Or something automated?" "Either way," Aiden said, "we can't let it leave the anomaly until we understand it." The sphere pulsed again, brighter. The ancient vessel stirred. Reese transmitted urgently, "Commander, its energy readings are escalating. If it fully activates, we won't contain it." Aiden took a breath and straightened. "Then we make sure it doesn't wake alone." He opened fleet-wide comms. "This is Commander Holt. We've uncovered something older than the Council. Something responding to our technology. We stabilize the anomaly, analyze the structure, and secure the region." "And if it reacts violently?" Captain Imani asked. Aiden met her gaze through the holofeed. "Then we remind the galaxy why humanity survived everything thrown at us." The anomaly brightened, casting eerie shadows across the fleet. Aiden stepped forward, voice steady. "Prepare for first contact."